Since Rico's music beginnings, Rico, an African-American black male, was first introduced to music back in his middle school days. Started in high school along with his friend D, they would often conduct unspoken rap battles on the phone. This was the pre-social media era, where talent shows and other events is the place to display skills. Rico and D parted ways after their school era, while Rico continued the music as more of an hobby. Rico would show more interest from time to time by touring local record company studios, not with a thought-out plan to record anything, but would spontaneously seek to be a part of music. During one point in high school, Rico would form a rap group that consisted of 3 males and 1 female. Stefan, Rico himself, another male who we'll call Nick, and Shanta. However, the group couldn't participate 100% in all efforts due to parenting rules, and eventually the group parted ways. But Rico continued his hobby of music. He performed with another group that accepted him as a guest performer during a talent show at Fraser High School. Rico remembers that very moment, not saying all the lyrics correctly due to stage shyness. He enjoyed himself and thanked the guys at the time, Terry and his other group members, for allowing him to perform with them. And that wasn't Rico last time at that stage. The school used to hold events after school hours for concerts, talent shows, etc. Rico attended a few, even landed himself on TV on the John or Joe Gotti show on the local Channel 17 station. He was questioned on the show by the host backstage, although Rico didn't know he would appear on TV until someone informed him on another day that they seen him on the show. However, his hobby of music was still just an hobby, often making plans with his cousin but to no fruition. There was a radio station, 97.1 FM, where the DJ hosted a rap session for callers. It was called The Roll Call by Stan Bell. Rico often tuned in to listen. One day, Rico called in to participate, and Rico was allowed to show his skills. Although some lyrics were stolen from someone he heard on a chat line one day, Rico turned it into his own. Rico enjoyed the temporary moments of Stan Bell's excitement of what he heard. And just like that, the moment was over. And still, Rico continued his hobby, later performing at a church with his cousin, a song titled Jesus Yes. Rico, whom had his introduction piece, and once again forgot the words of his song, became the hype man of the main song, hyping the audience and watching everyone stand on their feet to clap while telling Jesus yes. As time progressed, Rico would write songs for numerous associates he'd run into, forming temporary groups that didn't last due to a lack of knowledge on getting it off the ground. Rico then flies to New York City to visit, unexpectedly going to a studio that sat behind the stage of a huge auditorium. At first, Rico explored the auditorium, a big opera auditorium that he usually sees on TV. Then Rico went back to the studio backstage where he met Jimmy Douglas, who is now known as the Senator, as he worked on Missy Elliott's album at the time. Rico went back and went on the stage to play with the piano, and then Jimmy Douglas came out and asked if he could play it well. Rico then played what he knew, just a few rhythms he had learned. Rico, however, continued his hobby, recording songs on cassette tapes, later uploading songs onto SoundCloud, and even recording a rap song in New York in 2023, and professionally released it on all platforms. However, the more recent the years, the more his desire for God's grace and mercy to take over his life. Rico pulled the song off all platforms, except those from years and years ago, but continued his writing, this time for God's worship and praise. He uses artificial intelligence to produce the songs, but he composed every bit of it, including arranging the structure of the songs. Rico attempted to get old artwork, old songs off the web to prevent further influences towards evil, but now it is in God's hands. Rico often reminisces about this transformation, turning down opportunities to perform in Las Vegas at the Super Bowl event, and turning down the opportunity of performing in downtown Memphis, his hometown. The calling on Rico's life was more attractive than what he couldn't see. He'd give it all up any day just to keep God number one in his life. And as time progresses, Rico continues his pursuit of God's glory, not as a mere hobby, but as a dedicated servant, fighting the good fight, rather in life or music.
Within every step, there's a journey. Within every journey, there's a story. This is the story of Jimmy Rico Pegram, into Rise in Christ.